Hello again, everybody. Welcome to DaveyATalks. I hope you're well. What a week it's been. I've been a very busy boy. Many recordings, many hours put into work. But my true passion, as you know, is the podcast. It's why I'm still here doing it. And I'm ever so grateful for yourselves for pressing play and taking time out of your day to listen to my good self. It makes me feel a lot better knowing that you're out there listening and enjoying the content. I've been getting a lot of feedback lately, and it's all been really positive and productive and encouraging. So please keep it up. Please get in touch. All the socials we mentioned later on, how you can reach out and let me know what you think of the episodes. And hopefully, you know, reach out and become a guest of yourself sometime and join me and chat about whatever it is that comes to mind. This episode, however, features yet another new guest. Someone I've recently reached out to and made contact with. And having exchanged a few messages, we've come to meeting now and chatting. This is an interesting guest I've had to come and speak to. But without further ado, before I start rambling on, as I tend to do, let me just get him onto the show first. Please give a big welcome to Mr. Martin Whiskin. Hello, sir.
Hello. Actually, it's pronounced Whiskin.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I couldn't resist. Sorry. Hello. Very well. How are you?
I'm good. Really big thanks to yourself for coming on. It's been a long time coming. There's been a few weeks of planning this because we have lives and stuff to kind of deal with, and we're all very busy. But the fact that we're doing this now makes me feel a whole lot better. You have quite a mixed background.
Yeah.
Many reasons why I've asked you to come on. There's certain things that you're interested in or that you're part of, which just pique my interest. The main one, really, just to kick off straight away, is the fact that you have a voiceover background. Is it your main passion in life, being a voiceover artist? I know you've had a few things in the past that you've dabbled in before you've become this voiceover artist and the journeys you've been on to get to the position you're in now. But is it the passion of your vocals that is keeping you motivated and keeping you going? Is there a real love and an enjoyment in being a voiceover artist?
That's a really good question. And I'll start a bit before I became a voiceover artist, I think, because it will help give a bit of context.
Yes.
So for like 20 years, I was a database manager. So something completely different. And, you know, voiceover is one of the most ridiculous jobs you can get. You make stupid noises in a box by yourself for most of your time. So all the time I was employed as a database manager, I had creative hobbies outside of work to scratch the itch for the need to create, really. And it was always music. I was in bands for a long time. Let's just say they were unsuccessful and leave it there. But for a long time, for a very long time, that was my passion. That my life was music. I did a job so I could afford to go away at the weekends and play gigs all over the place, and you know, buy the equipment and the vans and the petrol for the vans and pay for the recording, all that sort of stuff. So a job was a means to become a rock star, which never happened.
Yeah.
And then so that fell by the wayside. I got older, had a family, got a house, all that sort of thing, as you do, and just carried on working. And eventually I got made redundant from there and thought, well, there's got to be a better way than data for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, staring at the same thing or doing the same processes every single day was not fulfilling. And that's why I'd always had the outlet of music in the band. So I thought there has to be something that I can do from skills I picked up through the years in the band. So not musically, but like recording. So maybe I could record some singers or acoustic acts, or I did a bit of photography because the bands I was in needed photos, web design because they needed websites, all that sort of thing. But I was never good enough to monetize it at sort of a businessy type level.
Yeah. What's
good enough for punk bands or terrible heavy metal bands wasn't quite good enough for, you know, shirt and tie type things. But it got me thinking about, you know, this. I've always got this itch to scratch inside to be creating.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized perhaps it's not just music. So I was searching around for stuff, didn't really find anything. And then Facebook hit me with an advert in amongst all the junk. And the advert literally said, record your own voiceovers from home. And I thought, right, so I've got a home and I've got a voice. If I try and work those two in together somehow, and I knew that I had a bit of recording experience with demos and stuff for the band, so I thought I'd give it a go. So back to the original question of it being my passion, I think my passion is actually the process of creating and perhaps performance as well, which comes from the music. I'd never had a drama background, never did acting at school, hated doing talks in front of the class, that sort of thing. So it must have come from the music. So yeah, my passion really is to make. And somehow I fell into this crazy world of voiceover. So I'm scratching that itch every day doing these jobs, and you know, even if it's just a business video where it's a normal businessy type voice, you know, professional type sound.
Yeah.
I'm still creating something because it's my voice. Then I come out of the box and I edit it. Sometimes I put music to it. So I'm creating this piece from just some words on a page to a piece of audio that will then get added to a video, or it's an advert or something like that.
Yeah.
Quite a long-winded answer. I could have just said yes, but
No, I'm glad. It's the padding that's important. It'll be a very short episode.
Yes.
It was just yes or no for each answer.
Yeah.
It's an interesting journey. Having spoken to a couple of guys in the voiceover industry, I always find it fascinating to know how you get yourself into the mentality, into the zone of, like you said, being in that little booth, in that room, in that box with nothing but you and a microphone and a script. Is it hard to kind of stay focused when you don't have anything else to interact with other than a microphone?
It can be, yeah. I would say there's some things that are tougher to really focus on and stay in that performing, acting, because it's acting, you know. Something like a business telephone message. You don't need to put too much passion or emotion into saying, please hold. Something like that.
I knew I've heard that voice somewhere.
It does get around. But in terms of, if it was something like, I don't know, some characters for a computer game or something, you need to be in that character for hours sometimes. So it can be tricky. And that's one of the reasons I've always veered away from things like audiobooks.
Yeah.
Not that I'm worried that I couldn't do it. I've always enjoyed the challenge of getting a message and a story across in a really short time.
Yeah.
You know, I've done some ads that are between 5 and 15 seconds long, and to get the message emotionally across in that short amount of time, I think is an incredible thing to go for.
Yeah.
Rather than 300,000 words, spending weeks on the same thing, talking about, I don't know, the properties of creosote or something like that, because those books are out there, you know, and people do them. I can't even begin to think about spending that long thinking about the same thing. But yeah, so there is definitely stuff that's tougher to stay focused on. And in that, so like going back to the telephone message thing, I can do that now. I was going to say with my mouth shut, but with my eyes shut. You know, I'm so used to doing it. So I can't do it with my mouth
There's
shut.
a challenge doing it with your mouth shut.
Yeah.
So it's quite a varied voiceover career that you've built. What do you get the most fun from? Obviously, you've done things like commercials and stuff like that, but where do you find the most enjoyment when you're putting your voice to a recording?
So when I first started, my plan was TV commercials. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think I closed off a lot of doors just trying to focus on that straight away. It's a very competitive area because it's good, better money in that area. And it's cool, right? To say, oh, I'm on telly, listen to my voice on telly.
Yeah.
And I have done a couple of TV ads and radio ads and stuff like that. And there's two areas that I said I'm not interested in at all. And one was business telephone messages.
Okay.
And the other one was e-learning stuff. So teaching people through the medium of audio.
Yeah.
And now I've organically somehow drifted into both of those areas as my main thing. And and so, yeah, business telephone messages, and I'm not quite sure why it is, but I really, really enjoy them.
Okay.
They're short, they're sharp, they're 7 or 8 times out of 10, they're all the same. You know, it's every now and then you'll get one where they want to do something a bit silly, which is cool. But I just love the idea of my voice. Voiceover is a hidden thing. You don't see the voice actor in anything, really. But it seems even more hidden on the end of a telephone. I think because once you hang that phone up, it disappears.
Very true.
But then you could hear it again. And it's just out there. No one will ever know it's me. It's very hard for me to pin down why I enjoy telephone messages so much. And it's annoying that I enjoy them so much because they're the worst paid sort of voiceover as well. But yeah, the e-learning one, I do a lot of stuff for European schools that teach English.
Okay.
So they've, for some unknown reason, they've chosen my southern slang drawl to teach English to Europeans. But, you know, it works for them. So
I dare say listeners will recognize your tones when they've been studying other languages and stuff and getting to grips with our dear English language. It must fill you with a sense of pride, though, knowing that you're doing these things.
The other day I was doing a piece for one of these European schools, and it was the sort of thing that we would have listened to at school. In my day, it was on cassette tapes. They would bung it in and it would be French or Spanish.
Yes.
And there would be a guy saying, Question one. You're about to hear two people talking about bread or whatever it is. And I was doing that this week. And it made me think, oh, wow. So that's exactly what I used to listen to at school. And now people are going to be listening to me whilst doing these little tests for learning a language. And it felt really worthwhile in a weird way. It was like a realization moment, that makes sense, which was quite nice. Yeah.
It's got to be a great feeling. I mean, I'm nowhere in the kind of same league that you're in, but being a creative chap myself and making, these episodes and putting them out there is a sense of pride. You're putting a lot of work into these things. Like you mentioned, the editing and occasional bits of music and putting your voice to something and then putting it out there for people to use, consume, enjoy. It does make you feel good. It does make you feel like you're making a difference in the world, even if it is in a small way. A 15-second burst for a business call, it's still making an impact.
Yeah.
So you've got to take the pride, you've got to take the recognition, you've got to take the enjoyment from it. I guess that's why you're enjoying it so much now, because you're getting all that response and the knowledge of knowing that you're out there in many formats for people to consume.
I think you're right. And I have this sort of conversation with people every now and then, even if it's a job to me on face value or a script on face value that I would find really, really boring. I mentioned like the properties of creosote or things like that. I did one a while ago and it's a half an hour piece. So quite one of the longest ones that I've done. Like I said, I don't really do anything audiobook wise. So this was a white paper of like 11,000 words, which was daunting in itself for me because I don't do that length stuff. Telephone messages are 50 words
easy
at most, sort of thing. And it was the safety properties of roof tiles on business buildings. So not commercial, not houses, just offices and things like that, which there can't be that many tiled roofs on offices because there are a lot of flat roofs. But anyway, this is what it was about. And it's, to me, very, very dull.
Yes.
But my job is to make it sound interesting for the people that it matters to. Because there are people out there that the safety properties of roof tiles matters a lot, because if they're working up on the roofs, they need to know that stuff or they'll fall off.
Adding elements of security and safety for people as well. It's got to help.
Exactly, yeah.
There'll be a builder up there slipping, but then he's listened to your warning and thought, hang on, take heed, be careful. I've got this guy in my ear telling me to tread carefully and use the right equipment. Yep. I must do just that. So
100%.
It's a great thing to go into. It must be a right strain though on your vocal cords doing all this vocal work. How do you tend to wind down and relax yourself?
Lots and lots of water all day, every day. So and to be honest, I don't mind water as a drink anyway. The downside is, because obviously to keep lubricated and to get rid of mouth noise as well, like spitty bubble noise in the mouth. You sometimes hear it on the radio if they're not drinking enough water and you hear them going when they're talking. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yes.
Once you've heard it once, you can never not hear it. Oh, where was I going? Yeah. So to get rid of that, but also the other downside is that I'm in and out of the toilet all day because there's so much water. Generally, warm drinks as well. So decaf coffee, herbal teas. In the evening, it's generally something like, what was one I was drinking the other day? Something like strawberry and peach tea.
Okay. It's quite versatile.
And warming up in the morning as well, like before starting the first job. I can't get up and just start talking.
Yeah. Because
my voice will wear out easier. So it's just, and over time, I found, because at the moment, I think my voice is still quite, I'm just listening in the headphones, still quite resonant, which at this time of day, normally it's gone quite a bit more like this, bit airy and can't really hear me that well. So I think over time, it builds up a stamina naturally that I'm in there talking for not hours every day, but a substantial amount of time. And it just gradually builds up and you get, I guess, stronger vocal cords. And I did go to the hospital a year or so ago because I thought something had happened in there bad. And I was like, oh God, this is the worst. So I went in and it was a camera up the nose, down the throat thing, which was very weird. But he said they looked absolutely fine. It was some infection thing. But that's an experience I don't really want to repeat.
I would imagine not. Have you ever like a job to do and due to like a sore throat or, ill vocal cords, you've had to turn a job down?
I think there was one quite near the beginning when I first started.
Yeah.
But these days, I don't think there's been anything, at least not that I can remember in recent history. I'm quite lucky, despite having kids that go into, classrooms full of germs every single day. When they come home and say, oh, I was sitting next to so-and-so today and he puked on the table. And I'm like, oh no, that means you're going to get ill, which means I'm going to get ill.
Yeah. It's the constant fear, isn't it? Being a father myself, it's the trauma of knowing that your kids could be bringing something back that you're going to get.
Yes, every day. So it is a concern, that sort of thing. But I think because lots and lots of water. Water's got the most vitamins of any drink in the world, apparently, and just trying to eat well. I don't drink anymore, and all that sort of stuff. Just good health, good vocal health, I think, and hope for the best as well.
Yeah, you can't, knock it without a little bit of hope. It helps you get through things. It helps you get through things, definitely. There's a lot of varied things that you've been into that you've done. I want to go, if I may, just back into your pre-vocal career, into your music backgrounds. Now, upon looking into some of your information, not that I was being nosy or anything, but you've got to do a little bit of research into your guest, haven't you?
I don't know what's out there.
Oh, just stuff from your bio, don't worry. I am not that much of an in-depth researcher, don't worry, it's only me. Yeah, you've been in a band or bands, you mentioned it a bit earlier. What genre did you kind of play music?
Well, lots of different ones. So I was in bands probably from the age of... Actually, I didn't start learning guitar till I was about 17, I think. So I was quite late compared to a lot of the people that I was knocking about with at the time. But yeah, so the first band, I guess you would call it alternative, but it was all over the place because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. So there'd be one song that was just like a really heavy song. Then there'd be a song that was like more like, I don't know, a pop song sort of thing. And thinking back now, we used to think it was great. We thought we were going to be famous. But thinking about our live set, no one could really get into it because it was all over the place. And from there, I went into a more sort of traditional, sort of heavy, it was like a metal band, I guess.
Okay.
After that, another dodgy alternative type thing. The more recent stuff was the stuff I was in for longer. So one of them's like a properly heavy, screaming type music.
Okay.
Which I was the screamer as well.
Wow.
So I can't do that anymore because I'm scared of what it would do. And then after that, it was a punk band with like folk instruments. So I was playing guitar and doing a bit of singing, and we had a mandolin, we had a violin, and yeah, it was a really cool sort of thing. So it was like fast, distorted folk, I guess.
Wow.
And over the years, it turned, and I think probably as we grew a bit older and matured, we lost lots. We started off as like a 7-piece. We went up to an 8-piece at one point. At the end, it was just 4 of us, and it was just an acoustic guitar, a violin, and a French horn. Very bizarre mix. But all of us sang. So it's like lots of harmonies and things. So from the beginning of that band, it was full on punk folk or folk punk. And at the end, it was like a more traditional old man folk.
You weren't called old man folk, were you?
We weren't. Oh, that's a pretty good. That's the next band if it happens. But there's a really bad story that goes with that because we kept the same name throughout.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was really cool to see the journey and the sort of the morphing into a different band by the end.
Yeah.
And people had sort of stuck through with us through the whole journey. But we, right near the beginning of the band when we were punk, we played in Wales, I think it was. And there was this guy there who really loved it. He bought our album and the t-shirt and all that sort of thing. And the album was really we got paid a proper artist to do it. And it was pictures of zombies, but dressed like emo kids. So it's like emo zombies type thing.
Okay, yeah.
And then we went away, completely changed bands over the years, ended up as this folk band, went back to play, and he saw me and the singer who were in it in the original format. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're back. Can't wait to see you," sort of thing. We went, "Oh, okay, cool." And he showed us the tattoo that he'd got of this emo zombie from when we were a punk band. And then he saw us on stage as this old band folk band, and he just walked out. Oh, man.
Oh, to be given the homage that is a tattoo, it's there for life.
I'm pretty sure I'd put money on these had it had a cover up now.
Just because he's what, embarrassed or a bit let down, maybe, I don't know.
A bit of both, I reckon.
A bit of both. It's interesting though to have I guess a musical background. I, for one, haven't got a clue. I can play all 3 sides of a triangle. That's it. Some people do ding ding. I do ding ding ding.
I saw an orchestra at, it must have been the Royal Festival Hall, I think. And there must have been 40 or 50 people on stage, all doing their thing. Right at the back, guy with a triangle. Knew everything about it, but you still have to learn the whole piece to know when to come in. So it is genuinely an important thing. I don't know if I'd have missed it if he hadn't have been there. But it was impressive that he was there just with the triangle. I never expected a triangle to be in an orchestra, but it is. Your chance is still there.
There's a chance for me to whip out the old three-pointed instrument and have someone with a, not that it's like some kind of euphemism or something. It makes me think about when I was in school and you were always given the option to play the triangle or the castanets or the kazoo. I was never good enough to play the kazoo. What was your kind of childhood school instrument?
Well, we didn't have kazoos. I'm a bit disappointed now. It was, it was the triangle, which no one could work out how to do because the piece of string that, or the ribbon or whatever you used to hold it with, they was all gone. So it was holding it with your hand on the metal, and it just didn't make very much noise.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
Jingle bells with a little handle and the bells that sort of go around you, like knuckle duster jingle bells sort of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my god, you could just imagine a festive punch up with them.
Ah, amazing. This is great content for comedy sketches. Brilliant. And yeah, castanets, maracas. So it's never anything really tuneful. It was just percussion because otherwise it would have been horrific. Pretty horrific as it was, but I think with actual instruments would have been. What else was there? It's all just percussion stuff. I think maybe a
It
little
mostly was. Yeah.
bongo every now and then, but just one, not two. Or
There was one that was it was like a handle and it had like a cylinder on the top, it like lots of ball bearings, and you twist it side to side.
yes, I remember that.
I don't know what that one was called, but that seems to stick out of my mind. Or a wooden one, and you'd kind of knock a stick up and down on it. It had like slots in it.
I think that's called a guiro.
Okay.
Yeah, and like that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah, I remember that. I think my son's got one.
Oh, really? Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe sales of gueros will go up now because we talked about them. But yeah, like you say, it's all percussion. They weren't letting us loose with guitars and keyboards and microphones. It was just bang this, tap this, shake this, and you'll make some noise out of it. A nice link, by the way. You mentioned, this could make great content for a comedy sketch. It leads me onto some of your comedic background. Now, I'd read that you dabbled in comedy for a small period.
I would say dabble is a strong word. I think I've oversold it on my website, but
maybe you dipped your toe in the comedy pond and
yes,
got a bit wet.
Yes.
I'd read that you'd written some stuff for Twitter.
Well, for my account on Twitter, yeah, I had. There's like Twitter, and I don't use it anymore because it's not a nice place. It's very toxic, I think. But when I first went on Twitter and joined it, it was almost like you could just go on it and scroll and look at the news or whatever, or the gossip, or just follow your friends.
Yeah.
But then I found that there's kind of like segments of Twitter. There'd be like football Twitter, and then everyone would talk about football, and then all connected with each other that way. And then I don't know how, but I discovered this area called joke Twitter.
Okay.
And for a long time, I was following a few accounts on there who were just telling jokes. They weren't talking to other people. They were just typing out jokes and posting them, and their own jokes, writing them. And I was like, that's really cool. I want to try that. And I'd never written jokes. I grew up watching things like The Young Ones, Bottom,
yes,
Alan Partridge,
great,
all that sort of stuff. Bottom was probably like Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson probably formed my life in some weird way. Like, I met Adrian Edmondson once at a backstage at a festival. One of my bands was playing, and his band was playing as well. He was in like a folk covers band.
Yeah,
they were actually really, really good. Bad Shepherds. Yeah, and we didn't really chat that much. He said something because we were packing all our stuff back in the van, and all he said to us was, "You packed that well." And then he walked off. I was like, "Is that all I'm gonna get from one of my heroes?" Not even a double entendre or a fake punch with a saucepan or something.
That's what I was going to say. He could have turned it to some kind of innuendo or something, but nothing. You've packed that well and just walked off.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe that was an innuendo. You've packed that. Wait, let's not go down that route.
I think one of my favorite lines from Bottom is when Richie says to him, "Have you got the crackers?" And he says, "No, shut the way my trousers have rolled up." It's stuff like that. It just makes me laugh so much. I love Bottom. It's so good.
Those jokes, it was things like that they would just change the words to it, and the joke would crop up in episode after episode, live show after live show. And I tried to go back and watch, because I've still got the DVDs. Like a couple of years ago, I tried to go back and watch it because I was like, oh man, I loved that show so much. And I've still got the script book out there, and we would go through it in the library at school. We'd each pick a character and act it out. But for me, it didn't like affect me in the way that I'd hoped it would affect me. And I was disappointed rewatching it, which is sad. But I think I will always always laugh at the gas man
Yes.
scene where they're beating him up for ages. It just goes on and on. Love that.
It's the slapstick element. It really works to carry the show.
Yeah. And I saw an interview with Adrian Emerson actually a few months back where he was talking about Rick Mayall. Obviously, Rick Mayall died some time ago now, and you could really see how it had affected him.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I'd really, I know it was on a BBC podcast. It was Desert Island Discs.
Okay.
I think he was on there, and you could really hear the emotion, whereas I've seen him on TV interviews before and people would ask him stupid questions like, oh, were you sad when he died? Like, well, of course I'm sad. He was my best friend and my partner for a long time, sort of thing. But yeah, if you can, check out Desert Island Disc with Adrian Emerson, because it was, there's some bits in there that are really, I don't use this word much, but really beautiful, the way he was talking about their relationship and stuff. But you get an insight into the breakdown of the working relationship and that sort of thing. Yeah. So that's what I grew up on, and winding it back round to Twitter. So I've always loved comedy, and this was, I guess, a way of me to try it. And I was on it for months and months, trying to do jokes, trying to get people to follow me back who were in that community. And eventually I started getting embedded within that community, and I found out that there was these chat rooms in the background. So you can private message a person on Twitter, but you can also create groups of people and make rooms out of them.
Yeah.
So there was people in these rooms all writing jokes together. So it was like a virtual writing room, and it was incredible. All day long, people were putting in ideas for jokes and helping each other out with their jokes and things like that. And I was doing this whilst I was employed.
Okay.
I worked from home for the last 10 years of my employed life, so I could do this stuff. And it sounds really odd, but I had some of the best times of my life talking to strangers in these chat rooms about how to construct jokes and things, because it was so fun writing stuff, and just all day you'd be laughing at jokes that people were just writing for other people's entertainment, with no need for getting up on stage and performing them or wanting to get paid for them. People were literally just posting them for free. And I think that was the thing what I enjoyed about it, because it was like when we was in bands, we would go and play to people because we wanted to play to people. We weren't playing because we wanted the 20 quid petrol money back from Manchester to Kent or whatever it was. It's playing because we loved playing music. And it was the same with jokes. I think when you get the bug for it as well. If someone laughs at your joke, you're like, right, okay, I'm going to write some more funny jokes. And I did really enjoy that. I haven't done it for years now. I still talk to some of the people, but it was a good time, and I built up an okay following on there. I think I got to 32,000 followers at one point just by telling jokes. Yeah.
Oh my God. I clearly need to up my my game and tell something funny to get people to follow.
but it's because I was in that community. All of the people telling jokes were supporting each other, retweeting each other's jokes, and then it would spread to their followers. And the people that were following were people who wanted to see jokes every day. That's why they were on Twitter. And there's obviously a lot of people who were just on there for fun, to have a laugh. But yeah, it got political and toxic, and a lot of weird people in there started to infiltrate the community, and I just left in the end because I couldn't be doing with it.
Don't blame you. It's always been an aspect of social media I've always been a bit hesitant of. There's been a lot of, Twitter backlog and backlash, and pros and cons to it. I mean, it can be said of any social media kind of app and where people chatting. There are good and bad reasons to go to either of them, but Twitter/X, I should say, has had a very mostly bad rep. Not to say it's not worth doing. It's just like you say, there's people that can not take it seriously, or they don't like the subject matter and want to voice their opinion and kind of ruin it for others. Yeah. So it takes the enjoyment out.
There's genuinely some very odd people out there as well. Like you and a lot of these joke accounts, they would have cartoon avatars, so you never really know who it is.
Yeah.
And since coming out of it, that you find out that there was people in there who there was a female account who actually turned out had been on there for 5 or 6 years. It was a guy who was pretending to be a female so he could get in all the chat rooms with all the girls.
Right.
And it's those sorts of things. People just lie on the internet because they can. They shouldn't, but they can.
It's not as a friendly place as it used to be. But you've just got to be careful who you interact with, and what sites you go and what apps you use. It's I don't want to say it's common sense, because sometimes people fall into traps and tricks and stuff like that. But use social media wisely, folks. If it seems too good to be true, get the hell out of there. Stepping away from comedy, I wanted to get some information from yourself. I know there's an event coming up that you're part of.
Yes.
If we can get a bit serious for a moment, you're part of an event coming up in May, unless I'm mistaken, that focuses a lot around mental health awareness.
Yes.
What is it all about?
So part of my business is also running a business networking group for creative businesses. So photographers, videographers, web designers, graphic designers, all that sort of thing. And we realized last year that mental health issues seem to be quite rife in the creative industries.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's because of imposter syndrome is a massive thing in the creative industries. As soon as a photographer's in the room with 4 other photographers, some of them might be thinking, oh, is my photos as good as his photos? And a lot of it comes from that, I think. That might have been generalizing it too much, but for whatever reason, there's a lot of people that I know now who suffer from mental health problems. So last year, Mental Health Awareness Week, as far as I'm aware, it's always been in May, and it was about anxiety. And I was talking to someone in the group about it, and I was like, yeah, I've suffered from anxiety and depression, like I have as well. And that's why we were talking about it. So we started bonding. Someone else come in the conversation, oh, me too. Oh, and yeah, I've had problems with this, that, and the other. And the more, I think at the time, there was 10 of us having this conversation, and 9 of us had mental health problems, some of them very, very seriously, to the point of multiple suicide attempts, all this sort of stuff. And we thought, and it was a really sort of eye-opening, heart-wrenching, heart-warming discussion. And actually, it was even more interesting because it was 10 guys who normally don't talk about, historically, men don't open up about stuff like that. A lot of people my generation, their dads would say to them, men don't cry.
Yeah.
All that
sort
of. So after that, it was one evening we was having this chat. After that, and it was coming up to Mental Health Awareness Week, I thought we've got to try and keep talking about it. So I would make a point of asking people every couple of days, how's it going? What you up to? Just to make sure people were okay. And it does feel very awkward when you've never done that before.
Yeah.
To say, how's it going? You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. And then you leave it there. But actually I started making myself say, yeah, but are you really all right?
Yeah.
And what do they say? Yes or no? It's important to keep asking, I think. It does feel awkward, and it always will feel awkward to keep asking someone if they're okay. But anyway, yeah, so the point is to keep those conversations going. And what I found, not just last year, but in previous years, mental health awareness days or weeks, people talk about it for that week and then they stop. It doesn't carry on throughout the year. It might carry on for a few days afterwards. A lot of people who don't have experience of mental health problems will talk about it on social media. Oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Week, help your friends, whatever. The next week, they're back onto talking about whatever they normally talk about, because they don't have personal experience or a link to someone with experience of it. So it's almost like they don't have, what's the phrase I'm looking for? They're not invested in it because they don't need to be, in a way. So when it came around to this year, and we've me and these other guys and more people now openly talk about mental health. It's becoming a really good thing within this group that we run.
Oh, okay.
So we thought, right, we've got to do something this year as well. We're doing it the week before Mental Health Awareness Week, so that people start talking about it before, and then they've got Mental Health Awareness Week as well. So there's at least 2 weeks where people will hopefully talk about it. And also that's just when it falls into our schedule for the meeting anyway. So we normally have our meetings on every other Wednesday at 1:00, and it's a business networking from 1 till 2:30. And we thought, what can we do to tie it in? I know, let's have a 24-hour online event where we're networking. We've got people doing presentations, workshops, performances, playing games, all this sort of stuff online for 24 hours.
Ooh.
Me and Ben, the other guy that run it, we can't work out whether it's an awesome idea or stupid, because we got to stay awake for 24 hours staring at a computer screen. And we don't know if anyone's going to turn up at 3 a.m. to watch us doing whatever we're going to be doing at 3 a.m. But the idea is we're doing it to raise awareness and money for 3 groups. So the main one is Mind, which is the big mental health charity.
Okay.
We know they don't need the money as much as some smaller charities. So we've got 2 actually community interest companies. So we've got one called Head in the Game, which is a men's mental health charity based around football. And we've got another one called Community Driving School, which is an incredible project started out of his own mental health problems, tried to commit suicide. It didn't work. he, rebuilt his life and started a driving school to help people like victims of abuse, addicts, ex-prisoners, all that sort of thing, homeless people, to get a driving license to be able to get employed and restart their lives, sort of thing. And I was talking to him today, actually, and he was saying that one of his pupils has passed her test now.
Oh, wow.
And I think she was a victim. She used to self-harm a lot, victim of abuse, that sort of thing. And he said that her mum phoned him up and said, "You saved my daughter's life by getting her a driving license, because she's got purpose, to go out, and now she can get to," because I think there was a statistic like 70% of jobs now say you've got to have a driving license regardless. So anyway, that we're doing it because there's important stories to be told, and it just needs to be normal to be not normal, I think, because what is normal?
Yeah.
And it's just, very, very important. I'm very passionate about it, having suffered myself with it. I know what it's like to spiral, shall we say, to not be happy. Let's just leave it at, that's an easy way to summarize it, I guess. I did open up my sheet whilst we were talking, and I was just going to read off some of the things that are happening during the event. So we start off with our normal networking. We've got someone who's going to be doing like a creative thinking workshop.
Oh, nice.
Someone's going to be coming on to talk about increasing sales on your website. So there's some businessy stuff, but some fun stuff coming up as well. Then we've got the community driving school coming on. I think he's bringing one of his pupils to tell her story as well. Head in the Game are going to be doing a bit. We've got a radio station doing a round table discussion about podcasting. Oh, actually, come along. You're more than welcome to come along and see what's going on, because I know you're obviously you're a podcaster.
I dabble.
Yeah, you do. We've got a composer going to be doing a live a speed composing session, so we can see how he works.
Wow.
We've got something called Madame Q's Hour of Mystery, which we're not quite sure what that is yet. We've been told that that's what this guy is doing. We've got a team of people from the group are doing a live Dungeons and Dragons role-playing session on there. We've got a film festival. We've got someone doing some live illustration from prompts taken from the audience.
Okay.
We've got speed networking. We've got someone talking about creative consciousness. We've got a marketing talk. We've got someone talking about her experience of writing a business book, another mental health. We've got a guy from Mind coming on. We've got someone doing a talk about motivation and momentum for creative businesses. Lots of different stuff. So it's from 1 o'clock one day to 1 o'clock the next day. It's just full, and we're not going to get any sleep, and it's going to be awful.
My God, that is packed. There's so much going on in that 24-hour session.
Yeah, and it's not even full.
That's going to feel so good, though, to be able to offer this to the world, to help people. I know it's going to be hard on yourself being awake for 24 hours, but the sheer rewards that can be reaped from it, it's got to make you feel good.
I hope so, and I hope people get something out of it and understand why we're doing it. We're not doing it for any personal gain at all. It's almost, me and Ben, the other guy, were talking about it today. And if there's no one there at 2 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter, because it's almost like a study of what we might be going through at that point as well, because we would have been awake from the morning to do our normal work. We're going to be awake for 24 hours, or probably 36 to 40 by the end of it. And I'm really intrigued as to what happens to us through that period mentally. Because we're going to have to try and stay focused that whole time. We might get a bit low, start worrying. Are there going to be enough people? Is so-and-so going to turn up to do their talk? So I think it all ties in some way. Yeah, I'm intrigued by it, and I hope it goes well. And I think we've got some good support behind it. I've been in touch with some local TV and radio today who seem to be quite up for doing some interviews and stuff. So I'm hoping that we could get some good exposure for the people that we're trying to raise money for.
It sounds like an epic event.
Thank you.
Just, make friends with a Red Bull. Although other energy supplements are available, folks, before we get some for brand infringement or something.
Someone mentioned Pro Plus tablets, old school.
Yeah, the classic. You've got an exam, you're tired. Pro Plus, it's going to keep you awake for a bit longer. Yeah, it's going to be quite the experiment. I know it's for a good cause, and the awareness it's going to achieve is going to be astronomical. But certainly, like you said, how you react to being awake for so long and dealing with this environment that you put yourself in, it's going to be fascinating to see how you come out the other end of it.
Yeah, I think probably the feedback that we get will make it worthwhile, and the money raised for those charities, more importantly.
Yeah.
I just have to correct myself. The community driving school isn't a charity. It's a community interest company. There's a difference. I learned it very well today, and I will never make that mistake again.
Well, thank you for correcting yourself and us, as we listen. When is this amazing event taking place?
Wednesday, the 8th of May. It starts at 1 o'clock. It's all on Zoom. I really hope my computer will stay turned on for 24 hours. Never had it on for that long before. Yeah, so 8th of May, 1 o'clock till 1 o'clock on the Thursday, the following day. And you can book a ticket. It's totally free for everyone, by the way. And we're just asking for donations throughout the event. If someone comes on for the creative workshop and really enjoys it, bung a fiver in the pot to say thanks. That's all we can ask. If you don't want to give any money, doesn't matter. We just want people to come on, have a good time, learn something, whatever that is. Yeah, so it's the Creative Collective Networking.co.uk/book. That's it. And that will take you through to the Eventbrite ticket page. You can just book a ticket.
It's going to be phenomenal. I can already guarantee. Well, I can't guarantee, but I can be hopeful.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll have a lot of people taking interest in this. It's such an amazing cause. And, there's people that I've interacted with that have gone through mental health issues and have come out the other side feeling positive and, feeling better about themselves, having survived, gone through something traumatic. It's going to do nothing but good things. I wanted to touch on photography, just briefly. I fancy myself as a bit of an amateur photographer. I'm not great, but I don't mind taking like plant life, wildlife, scenery shots, stuff that looks nice and appealing and colourful. You have a little bit of interest in photography, if I'm right?
Yeah, it started because of the bands that I was in. I used to play in Ipswich quite a lot, and there was a guy there who was in a band, and he bought, at the time, to me, was an alien type of camera. It was a DSLR camera with removable lenses and stuff. And up until that point, I just had, the cassette-sized digital camera that you got out of your little pouch and just slide the front open. And he was showing me all this cool stuff that it could do and all the different types of effect that you could get using different software and things. And I just thought, yeah, I'm going to get that for band photos. But also for me, so I was going out in my lunch breaks when I was employed, just taking photos of stuff. And what I found was it really made me just look at the world in a different way. I no longer just drove my car from one place to the other. I drove my car and was looking at everything on the way, just appreciating what stuff looked like. Not with really any particular plan to go back and take pictures of it.
Yeah.
But just now I realized that there was stuff there because of looking through a lens at it. And I think I would have loved to have taken it up if I'd have got to a good enough level, as a career. But yeah, ultimately it was a very intense hobby for quite a while. I bought lots of lenses and things that I didn't know how to use.
Oh, you fully invested in your hobby then?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. Haven't properly done any photos for probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So this week I was going through all my stuff thinking, right, I wonder who I can give this lens to and who will have this off me, because I just don't have the time. And like I was saying earlier, I'm scratching my creative itch with what I do now, so I don't need those hobbies anymore.
Fair.
Tell me about you. Like I felt I just completely hijacked the photography discussion.
No, not at all. This is what it's about. It's about my guest and having the chance for them to say what they want to say. I don't have a DSLR, admittedly. Mine is just a fairly decent compact camera with a really good lens on it. But for me, it tends to be more scenery based or plant life based. Even like, a ladybird on a leaf, I can get a good shot of that. And it's detailed.
Yeah.
I took shots over the course of a year from a bus stop outside my house over the stages of the Four Seasons. And it's amazing how a simple bus stop with a lamppost next to it and someone's old derelict house can look amazing when it's covered in snow in the winter, or with a kind of purpley coloured background in a summer evening from the same shot. And I've just found myself fascinated looking at buildings and angles. I went on a tour around the Albert Dock fairly recently, and I had my camera on its side taking a picture of the Liver building because it looked fascinating on a diagonal shot.
Oh, I love that.
Things like beach shots and stuff, and shots of seagulls. I don't know why, but a seagull lands, I'll take a picture of it because it's an interesting bird, I guess.
Yeah.
But I found myself getting more and more into taking pictures of things, and dare I say, maybe dabbling in pitching a DSLR at some point, because it's an interesting hobby. Granted, like you said, it's hard to find the time sometimes, but it's nice to have something to focus on. I have often said that I've maintained that the podcast itself is my main hobby and something I like to channel into my energy into on my downtime. But to be out and about and be able to take a snapshot of something that you've seen and like the look of for future memories, it's an interesting one. It's something I can see myself doing a lot more of as I get older.
Yeah. I really like the process of photography, because, and actually that you're I call it a project there with the bus stop. I think that's amazing. Like I'd love to see that if you've got it anywhere, online.
I will find it. I will send it to you. I will
Yeah,
find a way to get it
it's
to you.
things like I want to know what your neighbours thought you were doing out there every day, taking a picture of the same bus stop. You got a bus stop fetish.
The joys of traveling to work for a year. I thought I've got to do
Yeah,
something here. You're seeing the same shot every day. The same bus comes past, the same car at 7:40. There's got to be something better. And then you get a lovely, lovely purple sky or a
yeah,
snow covered house. It just changes the aspect of things. I don't live in a particularly beautiful place, but you put a layer of snow on anything, and it's going to look amazing. So,
and that's it, isn't it? It comes down to, photography is a split second in time, but you can capture so much in that split second.
yes,
Like comparing it to something like, I don't know, a painting of the same thing. The painter will be sitting there for hours doing that painting, and lots can change during that time. But with a photo, it's one split second of time that you've captured, and it allows you to almost form your own stories around it sometimes, and let other people form their stories around it as well. Other people look at those. I'm sure I'll look at the bus stop pictures and feel different things to what you feel to them.
yeah.
I don't know the context around it, but my brain can fill it in. And I think that's one of the special things about photos. You don't need them to be explained to you, because your
Mm.
brain will give you something, whatever it is.
The joys of photography, the joys of capturing
Mm.
memories. It's quite a diverse chat, this film. We've covered things like your voiceover work, your musical background. I like the fact that we've gone down to our old school childhood era and looked at triangles and that. What was the name of that instrument again with the wood?
The Guiro.
The guiro. We need to get that, hashtagging immediately, because the sales are going to go through the roof. As we go to wind down, what is the next mainstream vocal project you've got in the pipeline? Is it another business project or something a bit more, dare I say, entertaining?
So tomorrow on the cards will be some telephone messages. It will be some e-learning for the European students. So me talking English at them. And at the weekend, oh, it is the weekend tomorrow, isn't it? It's Saturday tomorrow.
It is.
So this is Monday. I mean, Monday, this stuff is good. I'm not doing it tomorrow. Monday, I think it's coming in. Comes in after the weekend. I do some stuff for Arsenal Football Club.
Wow.
Where they've got a really good project where their match day football programs, every time they play at home, they have those narrated. So their deaf supporters, they're blind. That's wrong, wasn't it? Their blind supporters can listen to them.
Okay.
Because they can't see the match day programs. But yeah, so it's all about accessibility, really. And actually that's a whole other thing we could have discussed, is voiceover is an accessibility tool as well, rather than just entertainment or learning or whatever.
Yeah.
And Arsenal are really, really good with accessibility for all walks of life, whatever type of person, sort of thing. And I think it's really that's another worthwhile thing. I know that I'm helping someone to be entertained listening about their favorite football club.
Is that your team as well?
No, I don't really follow football that much anymore.
Same.
When I was younger, if we can talk for a couple more minutes.
By all means, please, the floor's yours.
I was about 6, and someone came up to me in the school playground and said, "What football team do you support?" And I thought he said, "What football stickers have you got?" So I pulled out my football stickers and just showed him the first one on the top, and it was Newcastle United. and they laughed at me at the time. But which was strange, because I think it probably would have been Peter Beardsley at the time, and he was obviously a really good player. But I didn't support them. I started supporting what he supported, the guy who asked me. It was Man United.
Okay.
And that's how I supported Man United, because I didn't want to be embarrassed that I supported Newcastle. At that time, Man United were managed by Ron Atkinson and were quite embarrassing. But that's who I supported, and I followed them through school because everyone followed football in school. But after school, it kind of fizzled out. I still look at the results. I don't even watch Match of the Day anymore because I don't have time.
Yeah.
I would like my son to get into it so that I can get back into it, but it's just one of them things. Another thing that we have to let go of.
Yeah, slowly but surely, all our things we enjoyed are being passed on to the next generation so they can look after it.
Yeah.
You go and be the football fans. I'm going to sit down and enjoy a nice, robust cup of tea and maybe read the paper or something. While you go and scream at the football players, that's fine.
Yeah.
You do that, and I'll sit here quietly. It's kind of, as I'm getting to my dwindling years, I'm not that old, folks, don't panic. But I get a lot of enjoyment and comfort out of coming home, getting a cup of tea and sitting down and just relaxing without the need for insane football or loud noise or music or anything like that. Although I do like these things, there's just something about relaxing and winding down with
Yeah.
just a cup of tea and your slippers on, you know?
Just shutting off without stimulus for a while is really important, I think. Really
Yes.
important.
There's been times where I'll just sit here in complete silence and feel content.
Mm,
It's just one of those things about winding down, relaxing. Dare I say, keeping the likes of my own mental state at bay because
absolutely.
it's detoxing.
Yeah.
You're getting. We're coming from a retail environment
Mm,
myself. It's 8 hours of constant shouting by customers or complaints or dealing with people or on your feet all day and run up and downstairs
mm,
and all this hustle and bustle of traveling to just come in and have silence and just go,
yeah.
oh, no. It's a detox in itself.
Yeah. It's anything to take you away from that constant, like, heightened state of work. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but family as well, because you always have to be on when you're with your kids or whatever, or telling
Yes.
them off, or them
Yeah.
telling you off. And yeah, it's really important to, like you said, like a mental detox or deload.
Mm.
Just time for yourself is really important.
Just as I'm recording now, I've kicked my entire family upstairs. The boys are upstairs, the wife's upstairs. I want the time for myself to be quiet so I can concentrate on chatting.
Love that.
This is my time.
Yeah, it's good.
It is, it is. So, folks, having chatted with yourselves for a good amount of time now, by the way, I do appreciate you listening to me. It's a really good pleasure to be able to come back and press play and have you listening to me. It means the world. But in terms of this chat, it is coming to an end. I know, but don't worry. With episodes coming out every 2 weeks, you're going to be listening to me again soon. When it comes to socials, you can reach out. Everyone knows by now you can contact me at DaveyATalks on all the socials. Let me know what you think of the episodes. If you have any questions, perhaps for any future guests, or anything that you'd like me to forward on to any guest, or even to myself, get in touch at DaveyATalks. You can also email me at DaveyATalks@gmail.com. Maybe arrange a meeting. We can have a chat. You can be a guest yourself and chat to me, much like Martin has today. It's all about getting in touch, getting the initial chat going, and seeing what comes of a lovely conversation. Hopefully, it's been reasonably pleasant for yourself, Martin, as you've chatted to my northern self.
I've really enjoyed it. It's just felt like what you said, a chat. No pretense, no airs and graces. We've just sat down and talked about stuff, and it's been really nice. Thank you.
I'm glad. Goes without saying, you're going to do well with this 24-hour marathon that you've got planned. Please, everyone, follow the information given and just go and get yourself a ticket, book it, watch it, and contribute where you can. And come back and listen to me next time. I'll be back in a few weeks' time with more guests, more banter with DaveyATalks. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a nice day. All the best.